Alrighty, what is going on, guys? We're just going to jump right into the analysis and let's get into it. So we're going to start off here with the ES and NQ. We're going to go over the futures here and what I'm seeing because these are our canaries in the coal mines this time around. All right, so first thing I'm going to point out is that we do have a bullish divergence over here on the 4-hour RSI, and even without that, the RSI is in the same spot that we have had the last major bounce come out right over here, which over on SPY, that is right over here at the August high demand zone. So coming back over to the futures over here, I want to point out you do have the bullish divergence here on the RSI and the CCI. All right, so that is a factor of confluence right there. But the last time we did have this bullish divergence on the 4-hour RSI carve out was literally right here at the bottom. So I do think we are going to get a decent sized bounce. I'm going to point out a bunch of other things that I'm seeing across the board here that suggest that, hey, even if we go a little lower, you're setting up for a relatively large bounce coming out of this, or we just are going to be getting a decent bounce coming here. Well, now we do have CPI coming up this week, so we could be bouncing into that, or if we fall, we could use that as a catalyst to bounce. I just want to point that out. That is going to be a catalyst, and it will be moving the market. Coming over to NQ, we have a similar setup over here, and I want to point out your RSI over here on the 4-hour time frame is in the same spot that you have had the last, I want to say, 6 major bounces here. Let's just count them out. All right, so we got 1, we got 2. Yeah, this one right here, but you know, you fell a little lower, and that's why I say, hey, even if we fall a little lower, you're probably going to end up setting yourself up for a decent sized bounce. So let's just call it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, so the last 7 major bounces took place as the 4-hour RSI was right where it is right now. I'm not saying at all we're not going to fall. I'm going to point out over on SPY and QQQ if we do fall, like where I'm going to be watching here. But I also want to point out you do have this bullish divergence going on here on the CCI as well. The last bullish divergence that popped up on the 4-hour CCI was all the way down here. So we clearly do have a setup over here on the futures markets, you know, NQ and ES to get a decent sized bounce. But let's move it on over to Apple. All right, so Apple, I want to point out, we're going to put this on extended hours right here, and your 4-hour RSI, again, is pointing to we are most likely going to be getting this decent-sized bounce. All right, so between these two lines, I have pointed out all of these arrows for you guys, all right? We got 1, we got 2, we have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. What does this go all the way back to? It goes back to the beginning of March, all right, guys? So we have... You know, we got about 4 months of data we're looking at right now. And even if we fall a little further, I do think we're just going to be setting up for a decent sized bounce, like an even larger bounce. And that would be something like this or something like over here. Or we even carve out a bullish divergence, then you set up yourself up for a massive bounce. Maybe we fall all the way down here. Regardless, I think it is setting up for a massive buying opportunity. I want to point out you had a waterfall style sell-off open on everything. All right, Google came down right here down to the support. So if it is going to hold without falling down to this gap fill down here, 113.50, then this is where it is going to happen, and you can be moving back up for that. I want to point out Amazon is actually underneath the bottom of its range. So that is something right there. But what I'm pointing out is we did have this massive sell-off across the board and all these big tech names. Now, why could that be? All right. Why could that be? Come over here. All right. Right here. So I just want to point out this is something I saw on Twitter. So I Googled it so I can, you know, but yeah, so right here, I do think that is probably something having to do with what's going on. Again, I just saw this on Twitter. So like, you know, Twitter is a place where a bunch of things get thrown around. So, you know, there's that. I'm not saying it has validity behind it, but, you know, that's why I Googled it over here. And I guess, yeah, it is doing a special rebalance effect prior to the market open Monday, July 24th. So, yeah, I don't know if they're doing this ahead of time or they're going to be doing this on that date. I have no idea, but we should mark that 24th date over here on QQ. So let's actually go ahead and do that real quick. Come over here. Let's go to, where's my horizontal line or my vertical line? All right, there. Let's put on the 24th just so we remember that is going to be an important date. But yeah, now coming over to SPY. All right, so I do want to point out, all right, I'm not saying SPY is looking the same as the, you know, the futures markets over there. But I do want to point out we're in this zone right now, and if you do not bounce from this zone, then I am looking for you to come down here and test 437.30, maybe 437. That's where you held up on Thursday over here, and then obviously on Friday we saw this big old mess, and you closed right here at our demand zone. So that is a thing. And if you do end up losing that, then I am going to be looking for you to test all the way down here at 435. I'm not saying these things are going to happen. I'm just pointing out what I will be looking for. And again, I'm going to reiterate what I said over there when we look on ES and NQ. If we do fall, I think you're just going to be setting yourself up for a larger bounce here. I don't think this thing's going to be sustained. I think your RSI would begin somewhere down over here. And again, I mean, this is where your major bounces happen over here on, at SPY, just like we saw over there on ES and NQ. And then QQQ, same thing. All right. I think you're just going to set yourself up for a decent sized bounce. Now, on QQQ, if you do end up losing the zone down here, then I do think you have a shot at coming all the way down here to 358. Just my opinion. All right. Just remember, do your own analysis, do your own research. That is very important. You cannot just follow along with YouTubers online and expect yourself to get anywhere. No, you have to continuously, be sharpening your skill set. So that's that. But so far, it does look like buyers are attempting to hold the line. Over here on the 5-minute chart, I was watching for signals for coming up, but as of right now, you're just stalling out. So we do know a battle is taking place in the zone. So this, in my personal opinion, this is what you want to be watching. But yeah, 438.28. That is what I don't want to see, a 5 or 15-minute close underneath, or we, have the chance of going down. But again, I do think you are just going to be setting yourself up for a decent sized bounce. And again, we have CPI, so that could be a thing. All right, coming over here to VIX. I want to point out VIX did not rocket off of the massive sell-off the other day, and it also did not rocket from the massive sell-off that we saw in the morning. So what is that telling me? I don't know. I got no idea. But if people are not loading puts and they're not selling short-term calls, so the big boys are not, they're not loading up. Nobody's, it's not like, sparking this mass amount of fear here. So maybe it is that rebalancing thing that we just discussed that could be causing this. I'm not saying it is, because obviously it said the 24th. But yeah, just something I thought I'd point out there. All right. All right. So that is pretty much it. I will catch y'all in the next one. Remember, do your own due diligence. It's very important that you do your own due diligence, because, I'm just a guy on YouTube. And yeah. That being said, I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.